Now, one out at the moment, though, in the top right corner of the map from Mousesports. It's going to be HeroMarine. And his opponent in the lower left, representing Millennium. It's going to be the orange Protoss player, Adelscott. So I think we got to see a lot of that game too. I mean, we can really, I don't want to go into super recap mode, we don't need to, but what we got to see a lot of cool stuff from that game was the emphasis on upgrades, showing how powerful holding can be, and more importantly out of HeroMarine than anything else, pre-pulling SCVs. This is a problem we run into a lot. There's so many times where players will, I don't know, you see it on the forums all the time, and it's kind of like a joke, like, oh, we'll just make more bunkers and you'll hold. But it's not about making the bunkers that makes it so difficult to hold, or so impressively well held. It's more about the fact that you get the SCVs to repair those bunkers, to not let them go down. Because let's be honest, guys, you can put 500 bunkers on the map, and it doesn't matter if there's 3 Immortals in play. Deep breaths, though, anyways. We're probably going to have a pretty good one. Like I said earlier, if you take any 2 players of any 2 races, you mismatch them, one race will look more OP than the other. But if you put 2 players that are definitely at the same skill level, the very high end of StarCraft 2, you're going to get to see some really nice back and forth matches. And that, honestly, I don't think there's a single person who can be like, wow, that's the worst part of StarCraft 2 when it's back and forth and evenly matched. I want to see one race just absolutely raffle stomp. And if there are any of you guys in chat like that, go away. Seriously, shoo. Shoo. Because we're here to enjoy some StarCraft 2, of course, get some nice mix and match in. Now, of course, with these new maps, a lot of new strategies are going to be kind of, I think, developed over time. One of the biggest things is, you know, it's more of a pain to take these extra bases. Every map introduced in Season 2 has more awkward thirds than I think ever before. And Adelscott somehow, even though he you know, failed all in, whatever you want to classify it as, he still managed to get 4 bases that game, which I found rather impressive. But the Zealot did come out early. This will, of course, buy time for the Reaper to waste, so to speak, on it. With the Stalker following it up, if there's a Mothership Core queued, we would expect a push out of Adelscott. This is a very annoying poke that every Terran player has dealt with at some point in their life. But without the Mothership Core, just simply a Stalker and a Zealot, it's not that big of a deal. Does Scout, no gas, no second gas again. This is kind of a big deal. One of the biggest sighs of relief is when, as a Terran player, you see 1 gas, you know that it's not going to be a proxy Oracle. Now, granted, he saw the very, very fast Nexus, so he kind of knew it was going to be that right off the bat, but still, gas timing is going to be everything. There's going to be that Forge coming down this time, so Adelscott, you know, you're not going to go for cannons this late. Looks like he's actually going to get upgrades this time. Meanwhile, back over HeroMarine, he did establish a bunker, so knows that there's the threat of a poke, of an attack, doesn't want to be caught off guard. The extra barracks coming down are really, really clutch. One of the biggest things, of course, again, you're always worried about the Oracles, even if you don't scout that second gas. I mean, I don't think there's a Terran player who doesn't have that at some point, some part in their brain gnawing away in the back of it. Like, okay, everything I've seen tells me there's no possible way he has an Oracle, but what if he has an Oracle? So that's why you get a lot of Marine production up early, because you want to be able to have at least 6 to fight with, especially split between 2 bases. But at the same time, you're going to want those 2 tech labs ASAP, so you start that Marauder production up quick. Now the downside to, no matter how you open this with Terran, your gas, ooh, actually you get the Reaper there.
First blood.
That's really unfortunate. I can talk about the gas all day, but it doesn't matter if you lose that Reaper, because scouting information, guys, is everything. Whether you're a Protoss player who needs to know if your opponent's going bio versus mech for some crazy reason, or if it's going to be an early aggressive push, or whether it's a Terran player who needs to know whether it's a Robotech versus Twilight Council, losing scouts early sucks. Now, Adelscott actually hasn't been scouting a lot this series. Still hasn't scouted at all this series. But that's a lot of Marines, and with concussive shells finishing up in a moment, going for that before stim pretty much says HeroMarine's going to be looking for a fight. Push down to the middle of the map, he's going to try and catch one of the Stalkers that's going to be errantly walking around, like this one. He'll definitely try and catch a Zealot if at all possible, but this little push he's got going on is actually got the capability to do some real damage. It might even force out an overcharge. Oh god, no Mothership Core. No Mothership Core! This is going to be awkward as hell. The reason you get the Mothership Core is, of course, these earlier pokes are quite deadly, especially if paired up with something like concussive shells. There's going to be a couple force fields, but realistically, Adelscott doesn't have anything to defend against this. I don't think this will be a push that ends the game, but this is a push that's going to do more damage than it should have been allowed to. Even this pylon going down is somewhat unacceptable. And I think Adelscott says that as well. So gonna try and chase this back. A couple force fields will catch some of the Marines. Very botched force field will actually let all the Marines get away. What? What? Oh my god. Okay, well, HeroMarine on the retreat. That's perfectly fine, though. He didn't lose anything for that. That's weird. But he scouts there's no Mothership Core, too. For him, that must be another strange sensation, because oftentimes you'll see a Protoss player skip the Mothership Core a little bit, only to build it later. Often, I mean, the biggest part about that is, you know, you want to be able to get that overcharge. You want time warps, you want recall capabilities, but he sacrificed it entirely and completely in order to go for the faster Twilight Tech, in order to get +1 weapons on the way. 3 bases, his economy is soaring right now, but this is so weird to see without a Mothership Core. This base is not going to have the immediate easy mode defense either. However, HeroMarine's pushing power is not as strong as it otherwise might look. Gets the pylon and backs out of here. Where's that scan coming down? Natural base to see if that's still open and available.
Your forces are under attack.
Kind of interesting. With that scan, he also confirms there's only 2 gas in play for Adelscott, so he knows that whatever's coming can't be too high tech. The Marines actually buy some time for the rest of the army to get away. That's pretty cool. I don't think he needed to sacrifice all 5, but yeah, I want to keep the Stalkers back. Back at home, though, lots of Marines. Still no combat shields coming up. He's waiting for Stim. That's got to be the #1 priority. But, you know, while we can criticize Adelscott for having a later blink and no Mothership Core, at the same time, HeroMarine's medevacs are kind of delayed. He went for the earlier push that didn't push at all. These force fields will actually catch a couple of Marauders. That's really unfortunate considering how important these units are. Important to the composition. There's a lot of Zealots coming in. If he was going for charge, I actually think it's so weird to consider because Blink's kind of the go-to, but if he was going for a quicker charge, he would probably wreck this army. Again, really late combat shields, really late medevacs, but it's going to be Blink, it's going to be weapons. But it's not like this is going to be a Blink all-in. At least not at this stage. It's too late for that. Hell, he's even going to go for a 4th. Adelscott playing like a Zerg player. Dude, taking all the bases on the map. All he needs to do is start spreading creep. HeroMarine will scan once again the natural base. He's looking for the army. He's looking to see the composition, but this is so weird. Even the gateways being exposed like this are strange. I guess one of the other things too is while the gateways are exposed like this, he can't just simply drop the main. But that's a lot of freaking gateways, up to 10 gates, guys. Off of 4 bases with his gold coming in shortly, though, he'll be able to afford this. HeroMarine's stuck on 3. This is so scary. HeroMarine's going to push right now, but there's no Templar at least he has to worry about. These Zealots, they do have 1/1. So the Marines aren't going to be able to melt them the same way we saw before. The difference between level 1 armor upgrades and no armor upgrades on the Zealot is just absurd to watch the invulnerability dissipate. But he's going to have, yeah, he's going to be able to soak these hits, for sure. Base is going to get canceled, maybe, should be. HeroMarine's got to be careful. There's still a lot of force fields that'll split this army. Segmented from the left and from the right. Adelscott comes in from 2 different angles. Trying to cut back these Zealots. Knows his time is somewhat limited thanks to those force fields. But he picks up and he gets out of there. That's the hot pickup I was talking about, guys. It's HeroMarine's speciality. But unfortunately, there might just be a little too much. All the Zealots have melted at this point, and now the Stalker's in retreat. But again, working off of 7 or 10 gateways, he's able to warp in a massive amount of Stalkers behind us. Will this even be enough? Uh-oh. This is not looking good. GG is called. Adelscott getting very over-eager? Yikes! Alright, well, game number 2 going to go to HeroMarine. He'll take the series 2-0. Congratulations to him as he advances in the brackets.